count for the most successful teams, unlike when we watch the team competitions in events like cross-country, where it's the lowest overall score which determines gold, silver and bronze. So our first glimpse of Hilmar Jonsson, 12th in the European Championships back in 2022. He had a no mark in the team champs 2 years ago. He's an absolute beast. 74.59, his season's best. Well, it was so big. I think the cameraman was, or camerawoman was expecting that around 35 meters. No chance. This guy's more like double that. He's thrown over 70 meters in 8 of his competitions this year. So let's see if we can get a little glimpse from the aerial shot as to how far the hammer advanced. You're younger than me, Alex. Your eyesight's probably slightly better. I couldn't really tell from that angle. Oh, 66.78. He's put down an early marker, and he's saying to Margiev, come and get me if you dare. I'm only 20 centimeters shy of your season's best. I'm in the mood, and I'm in the groove. As Village, the veteran 46-year-old, prepares for action. Good start that, Alex, for Jonsson.
Absolutely, and Jonsson's one of those athletes that we see time and time again at these championships. It's almost like it's his territory, being the Icelandic hammer thrower and wanting to really put on a good show, where he might not get other opportunities to make qualifying standards and to make finals at every single global event.
Village,
Absolutely.
European team bronze medalist back in 2019. Team champ's been going since 09. From strength to strength. Real buzz in Slovenia about the event. Let's see what the Bosnia-Herzegovinian can do. Big roar. Yeah, so he's going to move into second place. Schual is currently occupying that mark with 38.16. That was way in excess of the Maltese athlete's effort. Second throw of the competition. Nice weather. Trees outside the stadium blowing a fraction. It's a beautiful part of Slovenia. And I was really impressed with what a beautiful country Slovakia was when we were there. I was there with Phil Minchell last year for the under-18s. Danska Bystrica. Excellent from Village, over 50 meters. Good start. So way ahead of Schual. So David Czesewski. At 43, well, you can't see it there, a 43 meter 35 PB. That came on the 7th of June. So not only is he national champion, he's in the form of his life. Can he be inspired here? Oh no, bit of a slip. He's okay. That wasn't too far away from his PB, but of course he slipped, so that won't count. Little adjustment needed for him. And now the excitement will begin to grow as the Moldovan veteran will come snarling towards the hammer circle. This guy has been such a great ambassador for Moldovan and European athletics. Sergei Margiev, 8th in the World Championships, way back in London in 2017. 6 competitions this year, 3 wins. His worst throw in any competition is over 72 meters. In 4 of his competitions, he's gone over 74. Now, can he bury this competition with one and done in the opening round? Shoulders are slumped, not sure he likes it. Camera crew struggling to see where that landed. So the lead with his rival, 66.78. Now, I couldn't see where that landed from the angle we got there, Alex, could you?
It can be hard, and knowing the European Team Championship was like, especially with the sun shining down on the field, but it's over 67 meters.
He's in the lead, not by much, but the duel we were hoping for looks very much as though it is unfolding. Goga Varia, European team gold medalist back in 2017. He's 34 now, loves playing rugby. He's got a good tradition, the Georgian, in this event. Got a silver 2 years ago when we were in Poland. Well, that should comfortably move him up into third place. Good start, actually, by the experienced Georgian. Vilic is in third at the moment with 50 metres and 14 centimetres. So it's Margiev against Jonsson. Less than a metre between them, 67.48 and 66.78. And that was a great effort. 57.08, the Georgian is indeed into third place. Oh, now we've gone for a bit of rock and roll from the dance tunes of Martin Solveig. And Alex, while the hammer final carries on, we will rock and roll between that and the long jump head-to-head, which has some excellent athletes in decent form this season.
Yes, perhaps the one to really pick out would be Andreas Trajkovski of North Macedonia. He actually won the third league a couple of years ago, jumping 7.73 on that occasion, so one to watch out for. Rob, given that you've said that Martin Solveig's on your list of dance tunes, you'll have to share the full playlist with us.
Well, we've got plenty of time. We're going to be talking for about 15 hours over the next 2 days. But honestly, Martin Solveig Hello is one of my favourite dance tunes of all time. Despite the fact that you think I'm an old man, I love the big tunes.
I didn't say that. But I often find, actually, before an athletics meet, just to get in the mood with a good playlist gets me going. And I know the athletes are very much the same when warming up, but some have actually preferences of gospel music and all sorts. So we're going to have a look at these long jumpers then. And yes, nice to get the opportunity just to focus on the field from the get-go. Trajkovski would hope to launch a promotion campaign with some of his international colleagues, but we'll have to wait and see how things pan out. Daniel Egilson was second in the second league a couple of years ago, the Icelandic jumper, so he actually has a personal best of 8.21, albeit from some years ago. Looking here, I believe, at Gor Hovakimian, who's one of the younger athletes in this, 20 years of age. So we will continue to note, as Rob said, what the qualifying marks are for the European under-23s in Bergen and the under-20s in Tampere. It's 7.55 and then 7.40 respectively for under-23 and under-20s. So Hovakimian has jumped 7.41 this year. That was in Iran in April. So yeah, interesting. Obviously some of the Armenian athletes, they have competition opportunities within that region, really, Iran, Kazakhstan, into Asia. So his personal best actually came last year in Gibraltar. So he really has been competing all around. This is just his second long jump competition of the year. Of course, watchers of European athletics for some years will know that the European record still held by an athlete from Armenia, Robert Emian, 8.86, which was set in 1987, the year he got the World Championship silver medal behind Carl Lewis. Hovakimian is also a triple jumper as well. He's got a personal best of 16.24, but we so often see that long jump is one of those where athletes tend to have versatile skills.
You know what I'm really excited about here, Alex, is how much he looks like he's enjoying it. He's been smiling, he's soaking up the atmosphere. Yes, it's not full yet. It's a Tuesday afternoon and people have got livings to earn, and we'll be expecting the crowds to be bolstered as the afternoon and early evening progresses. But I love seeing young athletes who clearly thrive in the spotlight and are relishing the opportunity to put on their national vest. This is a really big deal for some of these youngsters.
Well, absolutely, and especially before the competition as well, to avoid only having that game face on. He was, putting his guns up in the air, his arms up in the air to show off his muscles. But yeah, just to salute perhaps those watching in the crowd. And yeah, what a kind of team bonding experience these championships can be, as we see some trying to get a bit of shade next to the electronic board and others with towels on their heads. I was commentating on a very hot meeting the other day. Our athletes all had towels on their heads. Back to the hammer.
Right then, Durovic in the second round, flying well outside the top 8, I think, perhaps saving his best for other events. And there are many athletes who are competing 2, 3, 4, I think there's 1 or 2 even doing 5 events. So Durovic not troubling the top of the leaderboard just yet. It's Margiev, 67.48 in the first round from Jonsson, 66.78. Shikvari is in third with 57.08. So there is an improvement, up to over 21 metres now on the Montenegrin. Now, Shual temporarily went into second place with his 38.16 in the opening round. Still only a teenager. By the way, the mark for the under-20s, 57.50. So he's not a million miles away with his season's best of 50.25. Anyway, let's see if he can improve. He's in 6th. No, couldn't quite control it there. Had a couple of no marks in the first round, although 11 among starters did manage to register a throw, but he's looking okay at the moment, Shual, for a 4th and 5th throw. Everybody gets 3, and then we whittle it down, a la Diamond League style. I'm still kind of getting used to that, but then I'm an old school guy who's been watching athletics for 40 years. Anyway, so Oriol Serdakassi, national champion last year. He's only 20, couldn't get it together in the first round. Come on now. No. Oh dear, it would be awful if he had that ignominious exit with 3 no marks. But he's now got 2 X's next to his name, and he needs to really tidy this up if he is to register a valid throw and guarantee his country some points. Right. This fella knew there was a big battle here with the very experienced Moldovan. So can he find half a metre? Currently in second place. 11 times a national champion. Great victories in Sweden this year. No. Now that's interesting. Just a long way to go in this competition. And obviously, with 66.78 miles clear in second place, we would expect him to have a 4th and 5th round effort and to be in the mix with Margiev towards the end. But Alex, that just sends a little message to the Moldovan that it's not quite all ticking from the Icelander, and that may give the Moldovan a little bit of a psychological edge when he steps into the circle shortly for his second round.
Oh, of course, it's playing out exactly how we would want. And you will see typically, in the 4th and 5th round, they've got a solid effort in and they can really take a few risks and try and get more centimetres to their tally. So you can see there the Armenian, he was out well in advance, wasn't he? He was waiting, he was so buzzing to get going here, was Gor Hovakimian. in this first round of the long jump. And you were talking about the competition format. Well, when I started commentating on the European Team Championships in 2017, it was only a maximum of 3 attempts for all but the final 4 athletes, the top 4 athletes. So quite similar, apart from you will get 4th and 5th attempts if you're in the top 8. So it feels more like a traditional competition, and I think the athletes will much prefer that. That looks to be, although it's harder to recognise someone from the back of the head, but I believe that is Robert Emian, who we were just talking about, and would make a lot of sense, given that he's quite often coaching the Armenian athletes and others. So great to have that kind of European athletics royalty, should we say, Rob?
Well, he's an absolute legend. 8.86 as we look at the youngster, Javier Aliev. 3 times a national champion. He's done the pole vault as well as the long jump and the triple jump. He's got great range and great acceleration and aggression down the runway. You can see by the way the wind is ruffling his vest. It is quite blustery here in the stadium in Maribor.
Yes, I was looking at the wind reading because there appeared to be, Robert, what I haven't really seen before, but a live wind reading by that start-finish straight, if you like, just 50 metres before the finish line. And it was showing around plus 3.0 to plus 3.5, yes, which is pretty blustery.
That is very windy indeed.
So it would suggest that these marks may well, although we don't have it necessarily on the graphic, but may well be windy marks.
Now, Argiev heading back in the lead. Now we switch back to the long jump for Vojvodic.
Yeah, Vojvodic of Montenegro. Another team that perhaps has a chance to mount a promotion challenge. I think it's actually quite hard to call, really, which countries might be favourites overall, just because, yes, we know there's some standout athletes like for Moldova.
Looks like there's a little bit of a delay here. Margiev just waiting for the 18-year-old from Montenegro. Vojvodic. What a moment for him. A couple of modest efforts so far. The long jump competition yet to really click into life. We'll be looking forward to seeing what Tchaikovsky can do. The North Macedonian. Won it with over 770 a couple of years ago. So Alex was correct. That wind reading plus 2.9. So no PBs to be garnered at the moment, but it's not about PBs necessarily. It's about points. Vilches Vondrel. Oh, it's Romeo, actually. I wonder why the man from Malta hadn't taken his turn. Won the national title last year. He's pretty close to his PB this year. 669. Had a couple of good wins back on the island. And wind reading jumping up again, that was a foul. So it was plus 2.9 for the previous jump, now plus 3.2. And now Vilches Vondrel. Around about 6 meters, maybe just a little shy. He's been around in the European Team Champs for a long, long time. Got a silver in the 3rd Division pole vault back in 2019. Real all-rounder, pole vault national champion with a fairly modest 340. He won the He won the Andorran national title in the long jump with 5.65. Now then, Margiev. Second attempt for the favourite. How long has this guy been at the peak of his powers? Looking to improve on 67.48. Oh wow, massive roar. Does he like it? It's hard to tell where that's landed from the angle we were seeing there, as he snarls his way out of the hammer circle. Jonsson had a foul with his second round. So, oh, there is an improvement. Excellent stuff there. 69.26 from Margiev, edging closer to 70 meters. Wow. Chikvaria is in third place at the moment. Picked up the bronze a couple of years ago. No, couldn't hold that together. Well, what an improvement by Margiev to edge closer to 70 meters. He put his long-term rival under a lot of pressure.
Will be represented from Northern Macedonia, Andreas Rajkowski.
So no throw there. Tchaikovsky. 32 years of age. Former world junior silver medalist. Everybody fascinated to see what the North Macedonian will produce in this first round, and that's a really aggressive, confident start. There's a little bit of a strut as he walks away from the long jump pit. Great acceleration. One team, one dream, big impacts. That's the motto of the European team champs here in Slovenia. 7.70, there's the high five. What an early marker that was. Daskalov, 15 times a national champion. That's hard to believe at the age of just 26. Reigning long jump and triple jump champion. He's triple jump 15.73 at his very best. That was a couple of years ago. 15.18 to win the national title back home in Moldova. Wow, what a start that was from Tchaikovsky. He's really laid the marker down for everyone else to chase. Well, if he gets the green flag, that looked pretty decent from the 26-year-old. He was behind the board. In fact, his biggest danger. Ooh, was he behind the board? I thought that was clean, was it? On the vertical plane. Anxious look back. Yes, and that was wind legal as well. Excellent start from the Moldovan.
It's almost though that wasn't quite the image frame that we needed to see. We need to see the foot on the ground. But yes, does appear to be all okay for Daskalov. But yeah, what a start, as you were saying, Rob, for Tchaikovsky. He's 3 centimetres off his winning jump from 2 years ago in Silesia. So this is Luka Kufunia of Georgia. Actually set a mixed relay national record a couple of years ago. Of course, yes, those records are very new. Only in the last 6 years or so have there been opportunities to do them, and even more recently have they started to take place in more and more competitions, including these European Team Championships. There we go, good foot placement there from Kufunia in this opening round. 6:40 is his season's best. He won the Georgian indoor title earlier this year and was second in the 60 metres.
Loving the music again, Alex. Shakira, It's Time for Africa, reminds me of the Football World Cup in 2010. I had the privilege of being in the Rainbow Nation for that. It was absolutely brilliant. Now, this long jump competition, Alex, is really bubbling nicely. We've got 3 men over 7 metres and a buoyant man from Luxembourg hoping to join them. He has gone over 7 this season.
Absolutely, and he's part of a band himself, talking of music, a band called the Young Souls from Luxembourg. So, yes, very much. You have to remember that athletes sometimes have plenty of other strings to their bow. So Liefken in this opening round has a personal best of 7:19. 9 Luxembourg titles. Across indoors and out 6:07 so far. Well, it's interesting, that live wind reading, as I believe it is now calmed down somewhat. But yeah, we'll see that ebb and flow, I'm sure, throughout the competition. And there may be a degree of error, you might say, compared to the official reading when the jump is made in any case.
Well, the great thing is, when the wind reading goes under 2 metres, these guys know that they're in pole position to try and strike for a personal best. But yeah, I mean, the wind has been, I think 3.2 is the strongest we've seen behind these guys, as Mirage of Kosovo steps down. A little shake of the head there. Bukowski leading with 7:70, just a couple of centimetres shy of his gold medal winning performance a couple of years ago. Of Kimyan of Armenia, who started our competition, he's in second with 7:36, and Gosolov is in third with 7:10. That one was wind legal. 1.3 metres. So only 3 men so far over 7 metres. And once again, Alex, the wind has jumped up. That was plus 2.7.
Yeah, I think it's something we'll have to keep an eye on.
Shual, Malta, 6th place now, courtesy of that first round effort. A little bit untidy in the second. Well, he's released it successfully. Oh, that'll be an improvement. Good stuff. Edging towards the halfway stage of this competition. Maribor still leading from Jonsson. Serdakassi. Now, that's the mark waiting to come up for the Maltese athlete. This is the correct graphic because this guy is in trouble. Come on now, full concentration for the Andorran. We don't want a no mark here. Well, I think that was quite sensible, actually. He recognised that he was in big trouble there. And okay, it's going to be a modest mark, but it was very, very important to register a valid mark in order to get every point possible for his team. And in fact, he's broken his PB by around about a metre. Good effort there from Serdakassi of Andorra. Great aerial shot there. Coverage of athletics has improved so much since I started watching in Helsinki in '83. Aerial shots. Now then, The snarling man from the fabulous island of Iceland. He's got a little bit of a deficit to make up on his great rival. Margiev leads. Jonsson. Come on. He's made 70 metres look easy this season. Oh, come on, come on, come on, he says. Ah, now I can't wait to see that measured. He loved it. How big? 69.26 is the lead. Oh, that looks huge. Oh, 70 metres 37. The man from Iceland says, anything you can do, Margiev, I can do better. He has taken the lead with a fabulous effort in the third round. And once again, another competition. This will be now 9 competitions in 2025 where he's gone over 70 metres. He is Mr. Consistent. Iceland, Luxembourg and Moldova were the 3 nations relegated from Division 2 a couple of years ago, and they are among the favourites to go straight back, so useful haul of points would be excellent for Iceland. Anyway, Margiev still has plenty of time to respond, and so too Village. Hoping to improve on that first round effort. Pretty consistent though, 50 metres at 49. And that's another one. What would you say, that high 40s? So he'll have no problem at all securing a 4th and 5th round throw. Usual rules apply, only the top 8 will come back for 4 and 5, and then only the top 4 for round 6. And I wonder whether Margiev will save his best for last. He's certainly under a little bit of pressure now, having seen Jonsson scorch out to our first 70-metre throw of the competition. Zasevski in the same position as Serdar Kasi was, the Andorran, a couple of minutes ago. Desperately needs a valid throw here. At personal best, 43.35, coming earlier this month. He knows it's in the locker, but needs it now. Come on. Disappointed with himself there. A little anxious look up at the scoreboard. Margiev will be next. North Macedonian cutting a slightly frustrated figure. Well, that's more like it. 39.02, and at the moment in 6th, he's looking good for a further 2 throws at least in rounds 4 and 5. Right, here comes the big dog, looking to improve on that second round effort of 69.26. Needs an improvement of over a metre. Remember, this is the guy who's gone over 74 metres in 4 competitions this year. He's watching, he's waiting. Wow. Well, it could be close. It's an excellent series. You'd expect nothing less from somebody so experienced. Olympic finalist back in Rio in 16. He was 10th, and then he was 12th in Tokyo when we were behind closed doors. Everybody looking forward to going back for the world champs. 68.52. It's a very consistent series, but no 70-metre mark just yet for the Moldovan. Bit of rock and roll again. Tell you what, Alex, the DJ's loving it. He's mixing it up this afternoon here in Slovenia.
Yeah, fantastic work as we look at Cebic of Bosnia-Herzegovina in the second round now of this long jump. So he's in 10th place. So just to remind you of the formats, you need to be in the top 8 to continue past the third round, and then just the top 4 athletes would get that final 6th attempt. So a little bit like the Diamond League Final 3, but a Final 4, as has been the case, indeed, even before the Diamond League introduced that fairly new format in the last couple of years. That's generally been the way things have been done at the European Athletics Team Championships across the divisions. So still that wind over the legal limit, but Cebic moves up into a solid 5th place, so he's put himself in a good spot in order to continue past the 3rd round. But Trajkovski is out front, and that's exactly what he would have expected, similar to Johnson and Mahiev in the Hammer, who are doing battle out front. Trajkovski, he knows that he's come here and got maximum points before, so would have expected nothing less. So let's see what he can do after a fantastic opening effort. Then Trajkovski again leaps long, continues that rotation in order to get every centimetre he can. So he has that lead of nearly 30 centimetres, 29 from Gor Hovakimyan, the man who was looking so excited to get going first thing and get this long jump underway, and finds himself in 2nd place ahead of Vadim Doskolov of Moldova on 7:10 in 3rd. So 7:74, he's now 1 centimetre better than he was 2 years ago. Trajkovski, you remember, joined us briefly in the commentary box at the European Championships in Rome just to talk about the specialism of that particular runway. Luka Kafunia, the Georgian, who we saw a short while ago, so he's a little bit more on the bubble inside that top 8. There is actually a gap of 42 centimetres between him and 9th place, but plenty more jumps to come. Kafunia, who has actually jumped 7:69 as a personal best. His only Georgian outdoor title came in 2019 in a long jump, and you can see there his foot's just over the line. And his frustration is because he knows it was a decent jump. But sometimes once the athlete's got a decent mark on the board, can afford to really go for it, and as a result we do sometimes see some fouls once a reasonable attempt has been made previously. We're seeing that from Niels Liefken, our bandmate and drummer. Luxembourg, of course, you would have thought had a chance of promotion back to the 2nd league. No Patricia van der Weken, I believe, of course, who has such a fabulous indoor season. Similar to Louisa Gego, we wonder whether she might feature for Albania, but we do have some accomplished names. We'll come on to them throughout the competition, but seeing as we've had the hammer the last few moments, got to mention Yixi Moreno, of course, a winner at the 2008 Olympic Games with Cuba, and legally coming out of retirement to represent Albania. So more on that later. She'll be at the start of tomorrow's programme as we look at Maraj of Kosovo here. So 4:55 in the opening round. As mentioned, he needs 6:07 then is the mark of the 8th place man that we've just seen, Niels Liefken. Maraj doing everything to try and stay in the air there acrobatically. Diad Maraj. His personal best of 6:57 set this year is in fact the national under-20 record. So we're moving towards quite an important stage of the competition with Andreas Trajkovski out front, and now by 34 centimetres. This is Davide Davosi of San Marino. He participated in the long jump as well as the 4x100 metre relay and triple jump 2 years ago for his country, and did the 4x400 metres in 2021. San Marino, one of a number of countries here who recently took part in the Games of the Small States of Europe. And if you're watching this third league and have seen it before, then you'll be no strangers to that competition, which is one of the main achievements of some of these athletes, in fact. And it was recently held in Andorra la Vella. And in some cases, we have the full podium of athletes here from that event, which was at the end of May, 27th to 31st, in the Andorran capital.
Hovakimyan getting himself ready for his third round effort. Brilliantly consistent series so far, and he's bobbing his head to the music. And in the background, Alex, I saw the hurdles being prepared. Women's 4 hurdles will be the first track action. It's all going on this afternoon.
Absolutely, yeah. Fantastic to see Hovakimyan being so enthusiastic, and you have to say he's performing pretty well, albeit that best jump is 7:41 plus 3.7 wind, whereas the wind has been almost still for Tchaikovsky. So yeah, it just goes to show, Rob, that sometimes there's an element of luck of the draw when you actually have your attempt a moment after an athlete where it might have been much less windy.
I know you feel somewhat sorry for them in that context, but how about that? A PB in the European Team Champs. That could be the first of dozens and dozens that we see here in Slovenia, because we've got Division 3 today and tomorrow, and then Division 2 heading towards the weekend. The Slovenians absolutely desperate for promotion up to the top ranks after just missing out in Poland 2 years ago. Excellent standard in this men's long jump competition so far.
Yeah, interesting. That was a still reading there, but it appears to be a personal best by 8 centimetres. Back to Aliev, who we're talking about his versatility. He actually took part in what was his first ever pole vault competition to win that national title that you were mentioning a little earlier. He was the only entrant, but you know, it's a case of opportunism. He saw the chance, I would guess, to enter the pole vault and get another national title to his name, along with his favoured long jump. And not everyone would put their hands up to take part in pole vault even at lower heights. 7:51 new personal best. He's actually improved from 7:04 was his PB last year, and he's not too far away from it either. 7:42 now to consolidate his position high in the rankings, in third place. Vojvodic finds himself in 6th. And of course, we mentioned about trying to get into the top 4. There's still some time to do that. You need to be in it by the end of the 5th round. But that mark now stands at 7:10. And so all those top 4 athletes over 7 metres.
You know what, Alex?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Do you know what?
Go ahead.
The standard so far in this competition has been brilliant, because Tchaikovsky's gone 7:70, 7:74. Hovakimyan has had 3 successive jumps over 7 metres, 1 for Aliev and 1 for Doskolov. So in total in this competition, even though this is Division 3, we have had 7 jumps over 7 metres. Nothing shabby about this competition at all.
No, absolutely, and I think there's a sense of sometimes urgency to get underway, especially when you don't start at 9-10 a.m. in the morning, as we sometimes see in some competitions. The afternoon start, the ideal competition weather, you might say. These small things might just make a bit of difference. Flavio Romeo getting that crucial attempt in after 2 fouls. And Rob, we saw that in the hammer, and just in case the athletes aren't aware, I'm sure they are, if you get any sort of fluffed attempt, even if it's well off your best, you will get at least a point, Rob. And that surely is much better than a DNF or 3 fouls, for example. You know, if it's a track race and you get across the line, hobble across the line, you will get a point.
Yeah, and it's really important, because the whole reason you're here is to represent your country. And the famous, I can't remember the name of the athlete, but famous Tanzanian who something happened to him during the marathon in 1968 in Mexico, and he said, my country didn't send me here to start the marathon in Mexico, they sent me here to finish it. So every single point could count, and I think that's the subplot with these field events, that 2 fouls puts the athlete under huge pressure, not just for their own performance, but because they're determined to at least put something on the scoreboard for their team.
Yeah, I think the athlete you're thinking of was John Stephen Akwari. Might well be the Tanzanian in the marathon in 1968. But yeah, we've seen a few great stories like that, haven't we? This is Daniel Egilson. He's sort of urging for calm there after being in a bit of a pressure situation. And I was wondering when he was going to feature on the leaderboard, because we just haven't seen anything representative from him yet. However, he is surely one of the top Icelandic performers. 7:79. There you go. So he goes into the lead despite what appeared to be such a strong position for Trajkovski. But yes, there you go. With a personal best of 8:21, Rob, there was always going to be a time where he would figure eventually.
Yes, and he's timed his arrival to perfection. As Sebic, Bosnia-Herzegovina, improved with his second round. Incidentally, Egilson, I would say that's a 50% Jakobinga Britsen. Anyway, there is more than passing resemblance. Sebic, let's see if he can join the 7-metre club, and he can. Does he get the green flag? If he does, that's an excellent... Oh, no. He's so disappointed because, Alex, that was a big improvement.
Yeah, technically looked very strong. There you go. So, oh, that is unfortunate. So Sebic does, however, remain in 6th place and ought to have a chance to improve. We'll have to wait a few moments to be sure. So the lead now held by Daniel Ingi Egilson of Iceland, 7:79 from Trajkovski, 7:74. They're both wind legal efforts out front. Here is Trajkovski in 2nd place. He's going to try and regain the lead here. 7:91, his personal best from a couple of years ago. It's been a really strong series, and now he's going to be pushed by a top competitor. Egilson, who was actually 2nd in the 2nd league 2 years ago. Good foot placement there, pretty much spot on.
What a series that is, Alex. 770, 774 and 778. It's not the lead, but that is an absolutely brilliant card by the youngster so far.
Yeah, just 1 centimetre between the two of them now. Kufunia on the bubble in 8th place, albeit he does have a 38 centimetre gap to 9th, now held by Flavio Romeo. So Niels Liefken, who hasn't improved since the first round, has now dropped down a couple of places. So Kufunia, who as his day job is a hotel receptionist. There are some really quirky and unusual stories of some of these athletes. I was looking just across the board, really, not necessarily the long jump, but we have some who have backgrounds in basketball and alpine skiing and wrestling and all sorts. And yeah, well, sometimes it goes to show that athletes have spent some time concentrating on athletics but have other talents. As we go back to the hammer.
Yes, I'm enjoying the music. It's an eclectic taste this DJ's got. Meanwhile, the headline is that Jonsson scorched into the lead. Hilmar Jonsson with 70 metres 37 in the 3rd round. So we are now down to 8. Tikvaria, the Georgian. He had an excellent first round effort of 57.08, which is good enough to still see him in third place at the moment. So, round 4. All the round 4 efforts we've seen so far, they've gone 41, 31, 44, 30, 43, and 48, 46. So nobody else over 50 metres in the second half of the competition. Chakvaria. That's another good throw. Maybe 56, 56 and a half. Chakvaria. Well, after 2 no throws in the second and third, he's at least backed himself up. So were there to be a tie with his best effort of 57.08, he might stand a chance of winning it on countback. 58.07. Another 99 centimetres to his tally, and there's a very useful graphic which tells us rather that he's consolidated on his third place at the moment. Sergei Margiev, he is the penultimate thrower. Now we're going from 8th down to the leader, so he's in the second position at the moment. As a result, he's had a great card, hasn't he? 67, 69, 68, but the magic number here is 70. Not with that effort, it isn't. So, 2 throws remaining, 1 guaranteed, but of course the top 4 will have round 6, and it would be quite something if Margiev was pushed down into 5th with a 69-metre throw, but he's running out of attempts here to try and beat Hilmar Jonsson, and it's a big subplot here with Moldova and Iceland, 2 of the 3 nations to have been relegated from Division 2 2 years ago. It was Iceland, Luxembourg and Moldova, and many people feel Iceland and Moldova are the favourites to bounce straight back up to Division 2. So Jonsson, riding high with a 70-metre throw. Can he improve? Oh, that right arm goes up in the air again. What an absolute beast. Now, his season's best is 74.59. That was in Falun in May. I don't think it's quite that far, but it's not a million miles away. That's going to be an improvement to his lead. The only question is by how much. That may well be in excess of what, 73, maybe around 74 metres. He's watching, he's waiting, so are we. That right arm went straight up in the air. Immediately he released the hammer. He knew it was a good one, and he knew it was an improvement on that third round effort. Come on, we're still waiting. We're on the edge of our seats here. This is a fabulous way for the action to start here in Maribor. That might be over 74 metres. I love his hat. Keep the sun cream on and the hydration levels up. Tension growing.
You sure it's
Fair
not
play
sun
to
cream
the marker. He hasn't moved a fraction.
I was going to say the shoulders are looking a little bit red, so maybe it might be best to reapply if you did put it on.
My goodness me, this has taken a while, Alex.
Yeah, not sure why, but yeah, good to see Jonsson in fine form. Of course, at 29 years of age, should be coming into some of his most consistent years as a hammer thrower. Typically, you know, as you advance in years of experience and strength and technical ability, that's when you do tend to see athletes really excelling well into their 30s. Jonsson, who of course studied at the University of Virginia and has been based there for a number of years. Both his parents were athletes. His father, Jon Sigurd Jonsson, was a hammer thrower, and his mother was a high jumper.
Well, I can't work out what's going on here. Obviously, the officials doing their level best to make sure that they get this marked. And the official on the infield has done brilliantly because he has not moved a muscle. This is an important measurement because it's such a good throw. It is going to be a significant improvement. 73.44. He's closing in on his season's best, and all of a sudden, Margiev, his big rival, now needs to find 4 meters with just 2 rounds remaining. Jonsson is in control here. So Sergakassi only had 1 valid throw so far, but good enough to be a PB. Might be another one there if he gets a green flag. It looks a little bit untidy. Yeah, it does indeed. We would expect to see quite a wide variety in abilities here because we have certain athletes competing in what would be their 2nd, 3rd, or in some cases their 4th favourite event, and others very definitely specialising in their number 1 discipline. Well, I thought it might be an improvement, not quite, close to 27 metres. So his competition is done. He knows he will not have a chance to finish in the top 4. Schual does. He has gone over 50 metres and will need it because 4th at the moment is Viver of Luxembourg with 50 metres and 50 centimetres. So Schual, if he is to avoid this being his last throw of the competition, he needs to throw a season's best. Big moment for the 19-year-old from Malta. Now, I'm not sure. 44-43. No, that won't be enough to get him in the top 4, so his participation in the hammer will come to an end. So little by little, we're edging towards the top 4 who will return. 44.65, so his last valid effort is his best by a few centimetres. As Vilic, Samir Vilic. Oh, it's Tversky, I beg your pardon. He moved up courtesy of that 41-metre throw in round 4. 43-metre personal best. Earlier this season, not to be an improvement there though. Jasevsky, the North Macedonian. Gave a good effort in round 4. Jump up to 7th place. So he's had 2 throws over 40 metres. Over wave for the camera. Everything is live, by the way, on the European Athletics YouTube page. You will not miss a single beat. You're listening to the incredibly knowledgeable dulcet tones of Alex Seftel, and they've let me in the back door, Rob Walker. Tomorrow Alex will be joined, or rather for Division 2, Alex will be joined by Ellen Ellard. And it'll be the old guys, Tim Hutchings and Phil Minchell, anchoring you through the 40-degree heat of Madrid at the weekend for the top division. Now Vilic. Vilic is ever so close to the top 4, but needs to find 35 centimetres or so. Vivert is in 4th with 50 metres 50. 37 centimetres to have one last throw in round 6. Well, it's a good effort, but I'm not sure that's going to be an improvement on his 3rd round. A good card, 50 metres 50 in the 3rd, 50 metres 38 in the 4th. yet another performer. 50-14 remains his best effort, but what about that 50, 49, 49, 48, 48? Vilic's participation in the competition draws to a close, and at the age of 46, hopefully he's savouring every moment of this international appearance after so many good years of service to his nation. So here is Vibert. He is the fourth last to throw, and he's in fourth, so he gets a sixth throw. But what can he do here in the fifth? Personal best, 53.95. That was on the 5th of April. No, couldn't control it, but he's got one more. He does have one more throw to come. But the big story here, Alex, is whether Margiev could suddenly find gear, because Jonsson has made that gap bigger and bigger as the competition has gone on, and the hugely experienced Moldovan is under huge pressure here in this penultimate round.
Yeah, still think it's very possible though, and someone as experienced as Margiev will do all he can, I'm sure.
Before Margiev comes Chikvaria. 57.08, 58.07, like it. European team gold medalist back in 2017. He is a 67-metre performer at his best. No improvement there anyway. So, 34-year-old fan of rugby, you can see, make a good, what would he be, a prop maybe? Wide shoulders, good neck. British and Irish Lions have landed in Australia, if you're a fan of rugby union. A lot of people getting excited about that, and a lot of people getting excited about the climax of this hammer competition. Margiev in second place. But the size of the deficit is an onerous task. So, second last throw of the competition for a man who's been around at the top for decades. Oh, does he like it? Does he like it? That's better. That is better. The question is, by how much? I'm not sure that's going to be a 73-metre throw to overhaul Jonsson's 73.44 in the fourth round. But Margiev looks like at last he has produced a 70-metre throw, and he has 70.26. One last chance to try and beat Jonsson of Iceland. He will know he's got one hand on maximum points from the opening event of the competition. Jonsson, could he make it even harder for his great rival? He'd love to finish with a season's best. This is penultimate throw. And that one landed outside the sector. So Vibert of Luxembourg, Chikvaria of Georgia, Margiev of Moldova, and Jonsson of Iceland will have one throw remaining. And still the dance music is pumping. First track action, by the way. We've got the women's A and B finals in the 4 hurdles. Women's pole vault final, then the men's hurdlists. Women's discus, men's hundreds, be very competitive. Should be a good afternoon this, Alex.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing the variation that we've got over the next couple of days, and different storylines that will emerge. But we've got 2 brilliant battles in these field events, going just about as well as we could have hoped. Now, Tchaikovsky, with this great series, eking out 4 centimetres more. He can't continue that right up until the end, surely, but that does look like another great jump. How consistent? I mean, that is basically the same image that we saw in the 3rd round. It is a little bit shorter, this jump, but still, you've got 4 within, I think that's 14 centimetres of one another, as we watch now Egilson, who of course had those 2 fouls, then got himself in the competition and got himself into the lead as well. So, fascinating way of doing it, but it maybe is an unorthodox method. And he's hoping to get Iceland promoted back to the second league, relegated in 2023. Even though he was second, he was one of their highlights of the competition, I think you'd say a couple of years ago. They just needed a few more, really. Needed to pick up a few more points. They were third last in 2023. But they have got some of their bigger names, for example, Anita Hinriksdottir in the women's 800 metres, which we'll see later. So, Daniel Ingi Egilson, 7.79 and now 7.60 for our leader.
So the opening track action of this brilliant week continues here with the women's 4 hurdles. Don't worry, we'll keep you posted on whether Margiev can produce the magic in the last round or whether Jonsson will take maximum points in the hammer, but we turn our attention to the track. Get an idea as to how fast it is. So, we've got varying standards in these Division 3 track races, and many of the shorter contests will see an A and a B final. Alex and I were talking in the lead up to the event, kind of reminding ourselves that, of course, were somebody to produce a sparkling time in what was deemed a B final, they could find themselves finishing pretty close to the top of the leaderboard. It is about the time, but they have been fairly well separated, so we would expect the gold, silver and bronze to come from the A finals, but it's important that they all get a chance for a run here. Women's 4 hurdles, absolutely incredible. 10 European women have gone inside 55 seconds this year. 49, nearly 50 have gone inside 57. Qualification marks for the European under-20s, by the way. 61 seconds on the nose for the under-20s. And then it's a minute flat for the under-23s. If you're watching and paying close attention to the specific athletes' aspirations. Livia Topi, inside 60 seconds this year. The Serbian, 21 years of age. Inside her is Fatjirova, national champion for the 1 and the 400 hurdles, PB, on the 6th of June. Zaida Pace ran in the heats of the small stakes games, national champion last year for Malta. Melin Adamian of Armenia in 5, 22 years of age. She's a 12m16 triple jumper, by the way. Inside her, Vukanovic, 11.08 triple jumper. Then Milosevic, Montenegrin, getting plenty of support from the crowd, just 22 years of age. And Vesa Yusufi, the 18-year-old Kosovan, will be nearest the inside in lane 2. So it's Yufusi, Kosovo in 2, Milosevic, Montenegro 3, Vukanovic, North Macedonia in 4, Adamian, Armenia 5, Pace, Malta 6, Isfandiarova of Azerbaijan in 7, and Topi of Albania on the outside. Camera's focusing in on Vukanovic, but on the outside, perhaps Topi, one of the favourites. PB of 63.31 in Gibraltar last year, and ran very, very well for the national title on the 12th of June. First track action of the week, women's 400 metres hurdles, Heat A.
Set.
So a clean start. Watch for Toppy on the outside, and pace has eaten up the stagger on Isfanyorova of Azerbaijan. So good running by the Maltese athlete, now second from the left as we look at it. Adamian of Armenia not run out of this one, but on the extreme left of picture, it's Toppy of Albania. The Armenian Adamian is in third, pace in second. Long stride there from Toppy to try and avoid a stutter. Oh, and has to take 2 or 3 little choppy strides into that one. On the left of picture, Adamian is closing the gap on pace, coming through on her inside now. A left leg lead there. But this is good running from Toppy. She is beginning to rock and roll a little bit, but she has a sizable gap over the Armenian 2 insider in lane 5. And I wonder whether pace could come back at the Armenian. Driving for the line, Livia Toppy, the Albanian, 21 years of age, 62-61. She takes it. What about second? Oh, and the Armenian Adamian just holding off the advances of pace. And a rather tired Vukanovic for North Macedonia coming home in fourth. Good win though from Livia Toppy, running blind on the outside, stuttered a little bit around that second bend, but held on really nicely for a solid win here in Slovenia.
Really impressive that, Rob. Made that a personal best by 0.7 of a second, and it could feature pretty highly in the aggregate result once we've seen the A race. Certainly there were just 3 women that were sub 60 seconds last year, and none of them have returned, partly because of promotion, obviously not able to return. But yes, have a look at Toppy here. You can see on the outside in the red and black of Albania. Obviously they don't have Luisa Geiger in the longest hurdles event, if you like, the 3,000 meter steeplechase, but Toppy making a name for herself here. See, rising cleanly over the barriers, holding her form nicely in between the hurdles as well, and it was a decent gap in the end. We often see big gaps in this discipline, yes, but 4.2 seconds back to Adamian of Armenia, who's just there at the back of picture in the blue and white.
Good run there from Livia Toppy. A real shame we're not going to see Geiger, but she's given great service to Albanian athletics in the team champs over the years. Hope you're enjoying our coverage. By the way, Division 1 and Division 2 will be available on the European Athletics website through the Eurovision platform. You need not miss a single beat. Well done to Livia Toppy. PB in Gibraltar last year, PB in Slovenia this year. And what an image that is, Alex. Top marks to the camera team. Livia Toppy taking heat A in the women's 4 hurdles. Adamian just about hanging off the advancing finish from pace of Malta, just 700s between them, and PBs for first and second.
Yeah, over a second it is off Adamian's previous best, but these young athletes around 22, 23 years of age, you kind of expect to see personal bests as you get more and more used to the event. And yeah, we've seen big gaps in the past, but yes, this then, Rob, is the result of the hammer.
Yes, Hilmar Jonsson took it. Margiev did indeed get above 70 metres, but not enough to overhaul his rival. So maximum points to Iceland. Republic of Moldova in second. I wonder whether that's how it will finish at the end of tomorrow night in the battle for automatic instant return to Division 2.
And it means
Iceland,
that
Moldova.
after 3 events, yes.
Yeah. I think we'll see a few changes between now and the end, don't you?
Absolutely, but I think the thing is, Rob, that you often see one individual event being a bit of a microcosm of the whole championships as well, so equally that is possible. Some of the smaller teams there you can see at the bottom, and I think they'll be trying to get every single point, maybe even to get into the top 10, and we know that Liechtenstein, for example, doesn't have a full complement of athletes, so they'll be trying to do their very best, national records, personal bests, and then just fighting over those lower positions all the way to the line. And how often do you see that in athletics? People fighting to try and even get 10th place, even get that fraction of a second, all the way down to those lower places. And that is what makes the European Athletics Team Championships so special. And yes, the third league brings it a different quality, if you like. You've got a full spread of nations and a chance for everyone to compete, whereas they might not normally get qualification for all the major championships, albeit in recent years we have seen an element of what's known as universality, giving that opportunity for representation. No, so this is the B race in which we are expecting to see the faster athletes. Certainly you can see those sub 60 seconds personal bests that I mentioned, and once again some really young athletes mastering what is quite a difficult event to do so at a young age. So Jana Granger of Luxembourg, don't have a official date of birth for her, but know that she does turn 17 this year. So hugely impressive, especially as a number of athletes at that age are doing 300 meters or 300 hurdles. This is 18-year-old Avril Sulignac-Barre of San Marino, on to Ingeborg Sigurdardottir, who's 24, and get this, 24 is the oldest athlete in the field. So it's a little bit more like a European under-23 field as we look at Dunja Vinjals, 19-year-old from Andorra. Masa Garic of Bosnia, who was 4th last year and the top returner, if you like, from 2023, an event that was won by Austria's Lena Pressler following that on their route to promotion. Granger, as mentioned, she was 3rd at the Games of the Small States of Europe, and on to Anna Sokadze, also 18 years of age, Georgian indoor 200-meter champion this year. Nicoleta Murcan of Moldova, she's just 16 years of age, but already has 6 national titles, which is extraordinary. But they cover across 400 hurdles, 800 meters, and 3,000 meter steeplechase. So it's kind of got that strength-based endurance and hurdling ability there, which is very impressive. And we have seen some athletes over the years do well at 400 hurdles and 800 meters. Patrick Dobek would be one of those, the Polish athletes. But yes, really interesting to see how many athletes we can get sub 60 seconds and what sort of times we might come up with here. Entry standard for the European under-20s is 61 seconds. So now underway with this B race, the faster race of the women's 400 hurdles. Naturally, when you have up to 14 teams, we are splitting the track races all the way up to including 800 meters. And then we'll have just the one heat, obviously, and producing an aggregate result by the end of things. You can see there in lane 7, it's Ingeborg Sigurdardottir of Iceland, and in the navy strip on her inside is Dunja Vinjals, the Andorran, and just edging into contention now is the athlete who I mentioned was 4th a couple of years ago, really pushing hard here. Onto the home straight, Masa Garic of Bosnia and Herzegovina. There's a good battle behind her as we can see Vinjals try and fight back over this final barrier now. Have a look at the clock, still plenty to go before 60, and Vinjals coming through very, very close on the line, and in the end, I think Garic just did find enough of a final gear there. Really exciting battle, Rob, and it just shows you how a 400 hurdles race can really ebb and flow.
Cracking race that, and Vinjals outdipped Garic just on the line to take it. Granger of Luxembourg given 3rd. I was watching Garic there as you were anchoring us through that. She was so aggressive through the first 150. Talking about the athlete right in the middle, although we didn't use lane 1. So she's 4th from the left here, and watch the way. So watch for the rise. There, she's in the lead already down the back straight. Our eye was drawn to the Icelandic athlete, 2nd from the left-hand side. Great super slow here. Bang. right leg lead, past her two rivals, putting them under pressure, but Vinyals did not panic. And maybe Garich going so hard so early cost her. Look at the contrast in lack of tension in the shoulders of the Andorran. She really deserved that. Cracking race by both of them. Bold from the start by the Bosnian, brilliant at the finish from the Andorran. A great 1-2.
Yeah, you could see she really pushed hard off the bend and maybe might have been best saving something for that home straight. And yeah, Vinyals at one point, I said it was a good battle behind our leader, but she did end up coming through there. So yes, we're only looking at the start list once again, but I can tell you the result. Vinyals confirmed as 59.75 ahead of 59.80. That is what we want to see. And Granger, who turned 17 this year, of course, in third place. And then I think we bring in overall the result of the first heat. So you can see how by winning that initial heat, even though you're seeded as the so-called slower race, you may end up still getting a good handful of points.
And handfuls of points is the name of the game here at the European Team Champs. Line up for the women's pole vault competition. A little bit of cloud cover coming over the stadium. Lizzie Mugalashvili, only 15 years of age. What a moment for her. To the crowd and introduced to the pole vault. No mark to her name this season. Baptism of fire. Azra Bayramova. The rival was 15, she's 16. Anastasia Roska, national indoor champion in 2022 and outdoor champion this year. Lara Marks got national titles at 100 hurdles, long jump and triple jump. Sifrich, based in the USA, the 17-year-old from Bosnia. Muracini, very consistent performer from San Marino. Sana Grillo, 6 wins already this year. And Arthurs Dottir, 4 times a national champion indoor and out. Indoor PB in Denmark in February with 380. So it'll take a while, this competition, to get going, because we have 1 or 2 in here with virtually no pole vaulting experience at all. Just hoping for any successful clearance to get a couple of points on the board. And then we'll edge towards the best performers, the likes of Marks, Lara Marks, the Luxembourg athlete. Grillo of Malta, studies at the University of Stafford. She's gone 360 this season. And then Aaron Alsdottir of Iceland with that 380, season's best and personal best. No, very, very, very early stages and modest vaults expected.
So this then, Rob, would be the overall result, including both A and B finals. So yes, it does look like a similar graphic to which we've just seen, but it does incorporate both A and B races. So you can see there, Yusufi would get 1 point for that 14th place as a result. It's interesting to consider, Rob, actually, how athletes get into pole vault at such a young age. I think one answer would be that they have parents who are vaulters, as we know some of the best have had, like Mondo Duplantis and Molly Cordery. Just breaking away, though, from that conversation to look at this long jump result. Tchaikovsky, in the end, 7.83 to overtake Egilson in the final round. Hovakimyan getting a bit of a luck there because he had some strongly windy jumps and then that personal best. And Mikael Vilches-Vendrell will switch his attention now to his other 4 events and possibly a 5th with the relay too. So this is how it's looking then. This is considered to be after 2 of just 37 events. So very early stages. Nice to see it being all to play for. I think, though, it's hard, Rob, to estimate who the real promotion contenders might be. We could end up seeing some DQs, some DNFs that could also play a part, and some non-scores as well.
Yeah, great start to the competition. 7 teams on at least 20 points after 2 events. We'll have a little bit of rocking and rolling as the 2 days unfold. Massive deal this for the Slovenian athletics community to host this event. Lovely little stadium, Nice main stand, main gantry. Seems a good size. And it'll see some great athletics. Not just today and tomorrow, but also for Division 2 towards the end of the week when there'll be home athletes taking centre stage. Confirmation then, after 3 events, 10 nations on 20 points or more, and it's still the Icelandic team who are in front, but there's a long, long, long way to go.
Well, Rob, with the pole vault coming up next, I think we have to mention some of the unusual formats of this competition. So, according to the team manual and rule guidelines, you're allowed a maximum of 4 fouls across the entire competition. So that means you could have 1 foul at your first height, and that would be the first of your 4 that you'd be allowed across all heights. So it'd be very interesting to see whether that plays a part in kind of the athlete mindset and what they opt to do. I think the sensible thing maybe to do would be to come in fairly early at a height that you'd be very confident at clearing, Rob, but of course easier said than done.
Yes, I agree. I think it's one of those, discretion is the better part of valour, just to get 1 or 2 decent heights on the board. I mean, women's pole vaulting in Europe is, I mean, I just can't get over these stats. I was having a look on various websites in the lead up. 22 European women have vaulted 450 or over if you include indoors and outdoors. It's pole vaulting has really exploded across Europe. One of the most decorated of the continents in terms of the great champions who've come through the sport. And just a quick clarification, if you're tuning in here and you're hoping to support somebody of the younger age groups, it's 4 metres for the European under 20s and 405 for the under 23s. So, from the women's 4 hurdles to the men, we turn our attention to Heat A. In theory, the action will be in the centre lanes, but watch out as well for Pesic on the outside. 591 is PB. He just hasn't registered a season's best so far this year. 25 times a national champion and director of track and field and cross country at Queen's University Charlotte. So here we take you through the lineup. Outside in these days. Took us a little while to get used to that at the beginning. And there is Dragan Pesic, Montenegrin, national junior record holder for 4 hurdles back in 2012. Now, what kind of shape is he in this season? On paper, he's one of the fastest in the field. So is this guy, Javid Mamedov. Mamedov won the B race 2 years ago. He's 30 years of age. In 7. Levan Kvaratskhelia of Georgia, PB in April for that 58.25. Idraj, national champion for the 110 and the 400 hurdles over the last couple of years. He was 3rd in the B race 2 years ago. Ivicic, brilliant decathlete, national champion in 22 and 23. Aramyan, 6th in the B race 2 years ago. And Bekteshi of Kosovo will be nearest the inside. We're not using lane 1. So when you see the athlete closest to the inside, that will be Bekteshi in lane 2. So Bekteshi, Kosovo 2, Aramyan, Armenia 3, Ivicic of Bosnia-Herzegovina in 4, Idraj of Albania 5,
On your mark.
Kvaratskhelia of Georgia 6, Mamedov, Azerbaijan in 7, and Pesic of Montenegro in 8. So, what kind of form does Pesic bring into this season? He's on the outside, 55.91 at his best, but we haven't seen him yet in 2025. First of 2 finals for the men's 4 hurdles, 3rd division European Athletics Team Championships,
Dead.
live from Slovenia. now then? Well, the Georgian, Karavatskalia, carried on running a little further and a little quicker than the rest, but I have to admit, to the naked eye, I couldn't spot where the infraction came, if indeed there was one.
Yes, I'd echo that, Rob. Really hard to spot with the naked eye. That recall sun, though, was quite alarming, wasn't it? It was almost like someone had had a break-in somewhere. It sort of sounded like of a burglar alarm, but certainly would have got the athlete's attention, which is the aim.
Yeah, or someone had set their phone alarm because they didn't want to miss a flight. Anyway.
Missed the start of the race.
I'm not sure. Cameras are focusing in on Ivicic, decathlon national champion the last couple of years. He's in really good form. Thank goodness. It's faulty rather than false. And call me old-fashioned. I hate to see somebody turn up for a massive event representing their country and be DQ'd before they've had an opportunity to show everybody what they're made of. And I know, rules are rules, but anyway. That's to many people's relief. So, Bekteshi, Kosovo in 2, Aramyan of Armenia 3, Ivicic, Bosnia-Herzegovina in 4, Idraj of Albania 5, Karavatskalia, Georgia 6, Mammadov, Azerbaijan in 7, and Pesic, Montenegro in 8. 2 quick men on the outside, but Mammadov and Pesic have not competed yet this year. And watch for the Bosnian athlete in lane 4. First of 2 heats, men's 4 hurdles. Oh no, oh no. Now, Mammadov was throwing his arms up in the air there in lane 7 as if to say, oh, come on guys, for goodness sakes. He's not happy, and neither is Aramyan. I must admit, a bit like the last one, I couldn't spot that, and they're all hovering around the replay board to try and get a better look. Tension grows here.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's not unusual to have a faulty start early in the competition, and we have just had 2 track races before this, so could also be that we'll see another green card because it was an issue with the start itself, or a fault, as you said.
Well, the crowd are in the mood with Sweet Caroline, but it's eyes firmly on the job in hand here for these world-class men and women. And these guys will be feeling a flutter of nerves. So, where is our official going? Well, he looks quite relaxed. I don't think that's the face of someone who's about to DQ an athlete, and I very much hope that's another green one. Now, we couldn't see the flag that was waved, but okay, a warning. Lucky boy, Bekteshi, the Kosovan based in Pristina. He's only 21 years of age. He is not disqualified. He has been given a yellow card warning. So, my goodness me, let's get this race off, shall we? Bekteshi, Kosovo with the yellow card in 2. Aramyan of Armenia 3, Ivicic of Bosnia-Herzegovina in 4. Idraj of Albania 5, Karavatskalia, Georgia 6, Mammadov waving his arms around in annoyance. There he is, second from the outside. And Dragan Pesic. Keep your eye on that man there, Ivicic, 21 years of age. He's in really good form, close to PB. He goes in 4, the fastest men in the field on paper. but are on the outside. Mammadov in 7 and Pesic in 8, but we have not seen them race this year yet. Ivicic is a brilliant decathlete, so he's in 4. Mammadov in 7, Pesic 8. Surely we can get this 4 hurdles going this time. Aren't we?
There.
Oh my goodness me, I actually can't believe that. And now Mammadov isn't the only one putting his arms in the air. So Bekteshi got a yellow card. The Kosovan in lane 2. That was in the second attempt to get the race underway, and I'm glad Idraj is able to see the funny side. Wow. Right, let's have another look here, shall we? Again, whatever that is, Alex, that's marginal, I would say. I couldn't see that. Once again, I couldn't see that to the naked eye.
Yeah, well, from that angle, there isn't really a clear view of Bekteshi. He's just around the corner. It's possible it could be his infraction again, but we just have to wait to see what the officials do once again. There is a reaction time graphic, I believe, that has come up on the result sheet showing fastest reaction time for Dragan Pesic, who was on the outside there. But again, it's now over to the officials, really, as to whether maybe they would show him a yellow card, or we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, plenty of tension. This is the opening track event for men. We've had the women's 4 hurdles. Thoroughly enjoyable. Fairly experienced Mammadov, who won the B race 2 years ago. He's just sitting on his blocks, minimum energy wasted. Idrizaj trying to stay focused. The Kosovan, Bekteshi, already on a yellow.
If the reaction time is accurate here, then it could be an issue for Dragan Pesic, certainly on the outside. Less than 0.1 seconds is shown on the graphic on the results system.
Well,
and you can find that results system on European Athletics site.
Yes, and if that is the case, that is a false start. Quicker than 0.1 of a second is a false start. Now, we've got a red and a yellow, and there's a purposeful stride on that official. So is he indeed going right the way to the outside, to the Montenegrin? I think he might be, but what card is he going to show? Is it going to be yellow, or is it going to be red? Oh, well, is it? Oh, that is such a shame. Pesic arguing his point here. I wonder whether he will try and run under protest. Some athletes do. Even if they run a PB, if the disqualification is retrospectively upheld, their PB doesn't count. But Pesic is a 25-time national champion. He's got national titles at 400, 4 hurdles. high jump, long jump, discus, javelin, and the decathlon. And he is the director of track and field at Queen's University Charlotte, so he's got a massive amount of experience. So he must feel, Alex, as though he's got grounds to make his case here.
Absolutely, you could see it came as a surprise for him, but it's hard to argue your case when the reaction time has come up as 0.048 seconds. Pesic, who we saw at the European Championships throw the discus, I seem to remember, barefoot. He's also in the pole vault at these championships, so if this disqualification did indeed see him unable to start, as we suspect, and he's not able to argue his case or whatever the case may be, then he would still be in the pole vault later. I know that may not seem like a consolation to him or his team now, but I sometimes feel it is when an athlete is also in another event. Let's have another look here, Rob.
Well, I think Pesic was arguing as if he was trying to confirm that his fingers were behind the line. They were, certainly judging by that replay, but quicker than 0.1 off the blocks is judged to be an official false start. I remember when Devon Allen was disqualified on the home World Championships for the United States, and he had started 0.99, 1/1000th of a second too quick. And he argued his case, but it was too late and he was disqualified. By the way, if you want to get up to date with all the results quickly as possible, European-athletics.com. And Ola, one of our colleagues, has got fabulous content on the European Athletics Instagram Stories channel. Great reels she has been posting. Right, so there was a green card floated in front of the face of Dragan Pesic, so I do believe he is going to take his place in the starting lineup. My goodness me, I can't remember too many races that have taken this long to start. Bekteshi, Kosovo, 2, yellow card. Aramyan, Armenia, 3. Ivicic, the brilliant decathlete, Bosnia-Herzegovina, in 4. Idrajaj, Albania, 5. Karavatskalia, Georgia, 6. Mammadov, Azerbaijan, 7. And Dragan Pesic, who seems, the Montenegrin, to have survived the disqualification. He has been shown a green card. And surely this time, everybody, can we get the first heat of the men's 4 hurdles underway? We're watching in theory for lanes 7 and 8, but watch for that decathlete Ivicic of Bosnia-Herzegovina in lane 4.
There.
Right, this time at last we are away. Fairly even to the first hurdle, maybe Pesic pulling away from Mammadov on the extreme left of picture, just a fraction. Karavatskalia doing really well, closing down on Mammadov. The Georgian is 3rd from the left-hand side. No move yet from Ivicic, 3rd from the right-hand side, 2nd from bottom right now. Now maybe Karavatskalia of Georgia. Is he beginning to run out of steam? Pesic is. He's had a little look on his inside, and Mammadov is coming. Clattered that hurdle, Pesic, on the extreme left of picture. Could be a good duel, this one. Pesic now digging in, finding a little bit of a gap, and he's clattered that hurdle as well. Karavatskalia is closing really quickly and takes it just on the line. What a race! Karavatskalia of Georgia looked like he just left it too late, but I think Pesic was closed and beaten on the line by the Georgian. Mammadov just began to struggle towards the very end of the race, and yeah, by 500ths, it is Karavatskalia from Pesic and Mammadov. And I wonder how much the disruption at the start played on the mind of Dragan Pesic as he ended up finishing in 2nd place. But what a run to the line by the Georgian from lane 6.
Well, that's extraordinary, Rob. It's a personal best by just over 2 seconds. It was 58.25 compared to Pesic's best of 55.91. So you wouldn't have put that result the way it's ended up. In any case, I had been about to say, if Pesic had held on, that maybe that issue at the start had really pushed him to make the most of the opportunity to actually be in the race. But he did clatter the last couple of hurdles, a bit of a messy finish after committing initially early on. So we're looking at Kvaratskhelia, just there third from the left in the black and white Georgian vest. Made a good start. He had on his outside there, you can see Mamedov of Azerbaijan, who eventually ended up in third place with a season's best time. But again, he was another athlete who was much faster on paper at sub 56 seconds. But yes, we can see big chunks taken off personal best in this sort of event. The hurdle come down there. Pesic still wasn't too phased by it, but it was that excellent final sprint of Kvaratskhelia coming across the line here fantastically well.
And assisted in no small part by his gigantic frame. As those strides carried him towards the line, he closed the gap and outdipped his rival, 2 on his outside. Well, I think it was worth waiting for in the end. Well, Kvaratskhelia, the Georgian, came through like a steam train. Pesic hit a couple of hurdles, one coming into the home straight and the very last one, and it cost him. Mamedov, who won the B race last time out, is third this time. A couple of PBs in that one. Cracking race. And Heat B is still to come.
Yes, that will follow up shortly. Obviously, we will be a little bit behind schedule, but I'm sure we'll try and make up some of that time. Obviously, the full timetable available on the European Athletics website, along with some quite interesting articles, including previewing the whole competition itself, looking ahead to the second and indeed the first division, which obviously the latter coming up in Madrid this weekend. And here in Maribor, we will have the second division featuring our hosts, Slovenia, and we expect to feature the likes of Christian Che, the discus star. So I'm sure that there'll be a good crowd in for that here in Maribor, which, yes, the biggest event in Slovenia athletics history, even if Maribor itself has hosted some pretty big football games. The local team, famously, it's been a really difficult place to go, such is the way the cliche goes. But yeah, Liverpool have come here in the Champions League in recent years, even Birmingham City getting a win just over a decade ago. So Maribor certainly a sporting city, even if some of the biggest events in Slovenian history from a track and field point of view have been in Ljubljana and Valencia.
One or two a little bit embarrassed to be featured on the big screen. Don't worry, ladies, that's the price of fame. Great to see so many young athletes being given their first taste of senior international competition. I think this has been really good so far, Alex, because some people say, well, you know, Division 3, it's not overly glamorous, there's a big range in abilities, but we've seen some cracking action, and there will be hundreds, literally hundreds of PBs between the start of this 4 days here in Slovenia and the end of Division 2 at the weekend. Good dancers, aren't they?
Yeah. So this then is the B race, or the faster race of the men's 400 meter hurdles coming right up. And yeah, don't forget the women's competition. We saw that fourth place overall was where the winner ended up of that initial A race. So we'll keep an eye on that as well, because that Levan Kvaratskhelia has kind of posted a target time, if you like, 56:20, even if we know many of these well capable of beating that indeed. We actually have the whole podium from the Games of the Small States of Europe involved in this, and the winner there in Andorra in May was Ivar Jasanarsson, who we're looking at here from Iceland. Over to Jovan Stojovski, the holder of 6 national records or national best performances, including 300 meters. Eloy Vieira, one of the Andorrans who's doubling up here, 3-time national champion. David Friedrich also has won 3 titles in Luxembourg, 2022 up until last year. And Andrea Ercolani Volta of San Marino, who was first in the third league back in 2017. Livio Ciobanu. And he's inside the 18-year-old from Moldova. And despite being a young teenager, he did actually get national title outdoors last year over this event. And then 60 meters indoors, he won the Moldovan title as well. So that's the lineup for this second race. Big personal best for the Georgian. And just maybe we'll see similar sorts of improvements across this field then. So Ciobanu, Ercolani Volta, Friedrich, Vieira, Stojowski, Jasanarsson and Pace. Well, we were talking about how there were some marginal moments where the recall gun sounded. That was fairly clear, at least on this near side. Ivar Kristin Jasanarsson of Iceland, one of the athletes who would want to take maximum points. And Rob, I think it was his infraction there. We'll wait and see what the officials say, but that was clearer.
And he would be hugely disappointed with that. 32 years of age, 11 times the national champion. He's been a brilliant 4-hurdler and 4-flat runner. But the tension grows once more here, and hopefully they'll iron out these difficulties. Oh, it's faulty rather than false. Everybody survives to race again, Alex.
Yes, and I think we see that sometimes when it's clear early movement, but very early in the start phase. So, not judged to be anticipating the gun, we say, but more a case of slipping out the blocks and not waiting that extra moment. In any case, yes, green card, and we continue with all of the athletes, all 7 of them in this lineup. And it's kind of also the right number, so expecting to see 16 athletes in the second and first division, but here with 14 in many events and 15 in some, it means in an event like the 400 hurdles, we don't have to use lane 1, and that is kind of more helpful when you consider the draw, and no one has to be on that tight inside line. I think it
On your mark.
is helpful for the athletes, especially when you only get one crack at it. It's not like there'll be a final, as there used to be heats and then finals. Of course, we used to have different numbers though of divisions. We had one more division and therefore smaller amounts of teams within. So here we go. Second time of asking to get this race underway. Ciobanu, Ercolani, Volta, Friedrich, Vieira, Stojowski, Jasanarsson and Pace.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost as though, as we hear the crowd groan, that there is an issue that's coming up time and again.
Well, Alex, it's easier for the non-commentator to cast their eye over. My eye was drawn to Ciobanu moving very quickly on the inside in 2. I couldn't definitely see an infraction, but it looked bottom left of picture. I don't know if we get a chance to see that again. It looked like he got away extremely quickly, but once again, it's faulty rather than false.
Yeah, interesting. Well, Ciobanu, one of the youngest athletes in this, born in 2007. He's 18 years of age, so yeah, I'm sure very keen to get underway and make the most of this international opportunity. There he is in the blue Moldovan vest. He has a personal best of 55.86. Possibly just testing the starting equipment there. And making sure that the blocks are in the right place. So you're watching live coverage then of the European Athletics Team Championships third league here in Maribor in Slovenia. And this is the first of 2 days of action. We are now a couple of hours into the program, having started with a men's hammer and then men's long jump. Those are the first 2 field events before the Track action got started with the 400 hurdles. We've seen Hilmar Orn Jonsson get the first set of maximum points for Iceland. It's pretty hot weather in Maribor, good conditions for sprinting, and that's replicated with the fire on the socks of Jordan Pace, the Maltese athlete. And you have to remember that, like I was saying about his international teammate, a lot of athletes from some of these countries very much used to competing on home soil. Places like Marsa, the home track, which has hosted events like the Games of the Small States of Europe. But to get this opportunity at the European Team Championships really is a big coup for some of these athletes. Pace, who's 20 years of age and based in Dingley at Savio College in West Malta. Personal best this year of 54.53. Let's see then if we can get this race underway at the third time of asking. Watch out for Jason Arsen of Iceland. He goes from lane 7.
There.
Well, not if we start like that. There was clear early movement there from Jason Arsen, and possibly as a result, other athletes pushed into reacting as well. Stojovski on his inside. I think we've only seen a green card to this point. It was interesting that before, Rob, we'd seen one yellow card to one athlete. And therefore, I wondered whether that was considered a warning to everyone else, because by the time that Pesic was shown a card, it was one yellow and then a red, sort of signifying that a warning to one was a warning to everyone else.
Well, and then a red that was overturned.
Yes, indeed.
Because he was allowed to compete, and it looks at the moment as though his result for finishing second, having been beaten on the line by Karatskelia, stands. So it's faulty rather than false again. My goodness me. Let's hope it doesn't take this number of attempts to get the rest of our sprint races started, or we'll be here till midnight.
Yes, I mean, you were mentioning that in broadcasting you'd never seen you never commentated, I think, on the European Team Championships. Well, you probably might say, Rob, that you've never seen, let's say, 6 attempts to start 2 consecutive races.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's amazing what you see in athletics. I think when I did Hengelo for the Continental Tour Gold a week or so ago, I saw a false start in a women's 3,000 steeplechase for the first time. So, hey, every day's a school day in this sport, which is why we love it. The #1 global sport, and it's the continent's best here. Desperate to get going in this second heat of the men's 4 hurdles. All yours, Alex. Let's get them away this time.
Yes, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. 1 lap of the track with those hurdle barriers to negotiate for these athletes.
Step. No.
Well, it's hard to find the words, I have to say. It looked like early movement potentially, and the camera focusing in on him in that navy vest, the Andorran Eloy Vieira. But, I mean, it could go on forever, really, unless the athletes maintain their discipline and the officials are sure that there's no fault.
Well, the thing is, there have been so many, Alex, it begs the question as to whether they might be ironing out some technical issues with the equipment.
Yes. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. At least we do have some field action coming up shortly with the men's shot put, Rob.
We do, and it promises to be an absolute belter. Adru Villanova, PB earlier this year. Agnesiersen of Iceland, PB in Myrtle Beach. This is Peza, carried the Olympic flag for Bosnia-Herzegovina last year in Paris. Matthias Verling, national champion in the javelin and the shot put. Mazur, top 8 in the World Juniors last year. Muzaridze, national indoor champion in the shot put. Zika, an officer in the army for Albania. Forster, twice a national champion in the discus. Ramadini, European Junior Champion 3 years ago. Gorini of San Marino, loves his motorsports. Maniukin of Armenia, National Champion twice. Aliyev, 8 wins in Baku this year. Dudovic of Montenegro, European team bronze in the shot put a couple of years ago. And Butieg of Malta, National Champion twice. And just 20 years of age. So, some big favourites still to come. We'll be watching out for Peza, Ramadani, and Radiadze of Georgia. Meanwhile, surely this time, surely.
Let's wait and see then, shall we? Chobanu, Ercolani, Volta, Friedrich, Vieira, Stojovski, Yassanarsson, and Pace. Moldova, San Marino, Luxembourg, Andorra, North Macedonia, Iceland, and Malta, all involved, all desperately hoping to get underway. The Georgian Kvaratskhelia obviously winning the first heat. There we are. What a relief, eh? 56-20, that victory a moment ago was a big, big personal best for the Georgian, and hopefully this one will be another great battle. You can see interlock there in the centre. We've got Vieira and Friedrich, and then on the outside, as expected, going well in the blue of Iceland is Ivar Yassanarsson, the only athlete who's ever gone sub 52 seconds, and he's also done that this year as well. So he will be expecting to follow what Jonsson has done in the hammer. But look at this, the battle with the Andorran here. So Andorra obviously getting the victory in the women's race with Dunja Vinyals. And this is very close. Yassanarsson trying to come through on the outside and does. Oh, fantastic battle between the two athletes. And, well, Vieira has got a personal best as a reward for a really brave performance against what was on paper an athlete nearly a second faster. Very impressive from the young Andorran. But in the end, Iceland do take maximum points through Yassanarsson, Rob.
Good race that. And Friedrich really played his role from Luxembourg, because I think Via Escalano could sense that the Luxembourg athlete was putting him under pressure. And Yassanarsson needed to show all his class just towards the end to overhaul his Andorran rival. So, watch the figure third from the right-hand side. I know he's not leading at the moment, but Friedrich started to close the gap on the Andorran, who has that really distinctive forward lean. So pretty close here. The man from Luxembourg tried to close the gap on the smaller Andorran outside him. But here, the Andorran began to rock and roll just a fraction. Still a wonderful run and deserved his PB, but Yassanarsson came through second from the outside in Karsten Warholm's favoured lane. How many times have we seen him win a Diamond League and a Continental Tour and a global title? Yassanarsson almost shouting at himself there as he just came through on the line. Cracking race from the first two. Good running by the Andorran, but just had to play second best to the pre-race favourite.
Yes, Yassanarsson, who describes himself as a track and field engineer. I believe he's an expert in sustainable energy. He certainly had the ability to sustain himself at the end of that race to overcome Eloy Vieira by a tenth of a second in the end. It was 52.32, the previous PB of the Andorran. So, next field event coming along, obviously the pole vault getting underway. Shot put we've already introduced, so women's discus throwers we will next see. This event was won 2 years ago by Estelle Valiano of Israel, and of course that team was promoted, so we'll have a different winner this time around. We start our introduction here with Chuhal of Malta, lifetime best of 42.86. And then the Andorran Kanabate. There's Hila Christensen. Would have thought a strong favourite for big points here. Gusinac of Bosnia-Herzegovina. Then Aleksovska of North Macedonia. These quick intros. Julian Sinner, she'll be one of Liechtenstein's best athletes. So too for Moldova and Emilianov. Stephanie Krumlovsky, who was second in the shot put 4 years ago. Milo Gomez of San Marino. Maria Mkhitaryan of Armenia. Kadja of Azerbaijan. And Lasic of Montenegro, all involved. Quite a few of these athletes then, not too much experience in discus. Some haven't competed this year, much the same as the hammer, so we'll see how things unfold. In the meantime, though, it looks like the shot put will start sooner, Rob.
Yes, early exchanges here in the shot. No throw there for Burling. Big puff of the cheeks. Thomas Dudovic. Just getting ready to step into the circle. In fact, that's Alexander Mazur, top 8 in the World Juniors last year. He's only 20 still, 4 wins so far this year. The Moldovan prowling around, waiting for his turn on the infield with Pink blasting on the PA system. Good atmosphere here. Yes, we're a little bit delayed after those faulty rather than false starts on the men's and women's 4 hurdles, but cracking races in the end. Lunges for the line and a whole host of PBs already secured.
Well, Rob, in this shot put, I'm really looking forward to watching Mohamed Ramadani, because he got Kosovo's first European gold medal at any level ever in a shot put a few years ago. Just going to break away from that to look at this result. So, Ivar Jasanarsson a 10th ahead, and this therefore, once again, is the aggregate result all the way down to the Kosovan, yes, a little off other athletes, but gets that point, gets that international opportunity to represent. And as I say, Kosovo should have big points from the shot, but certainly that's one of their opportunities. Liechtenstein would have thought from the women's discus as well.
Well, Mazur at last getting himself up and running. (1971), not the year. That's his PB. Wow. Now, has he gone? Ooh, I thought maybe he'd gone over 20 meters for the first time there. That's what it looked like with the tape. 1870 for the youngster. Hugely talented youngster. Solid start from him in this shot put competition. And we'll keep you posted on that, because we turn our attention to the first of the 100-meter races. This is Heat A. A lot of attention on the Republic of Moldovan's Alexandra Zatic, based in Romania. Second from the right-hand side. Once again, we're not using lane 1. This is Leandro Kodaku, twice a national champion. He's gone 6.98 indoors this year over 60. Good indoor season. Is he poised to strike and get his PB down to under 11 seconds for the first time? Zatic, 10.73 man at his best, but we haven't seen him race outdoors yet. Now, Andrew Grigorian of Georgia is only 17 years of age, but a PB on the 7th of June. And then Bazina of Malta, 11.05 this season, but 10.74 at his very best. Gevorgian of Armenia, 7.05 indoors over 60, 10.9. That PB came May last year. Granit Ahmeti of Kosovo, 22 years of age. Surely he's going to need to run quicker than that to get into the mix. And Marsenic, a little way outside his lifetime best of 10.8 with 11.17 on the 31st of May. So Kardaku, Albania 2, Zatic, Moldova 3, Grigorian, Georgia 4, Bazina, Malta 5, Gevorgian of Armenia in 6, Ahmeti, Kosovo 7, Marsenic of Montenegro in 8. There's the Georgian just giving himself a big pump up, the clench of his fists. Watch for Zatic, second from the right-hand side, 10.7 into a minus 2.7 metre headwind in the national champs on the 6th of June. Second from the right. The Moldovan might fancy the job. Let's see. Was a clean start, thankfully. Pretty even at the moment. The Georgian running well. Grigorian. Oh, this is tight. The Armenian maybe in the middle and on the far side. Yes. Kardaku, the Albanian, taking it 10.85. Now, if that's confirmed, that will be a big PB. It was pretty even halfway down, but all on his own from lane 2 on the far side, letting everybody else get on with it. Kardaku ran very well indeed, and I make that a huge PB, and he's inside 11 seconds for the first time. Bazina down in 5th with 11.07, and we had the first 3 coming home inside 11 seconds.
Well, Rob, I hope this pattern of athletes beating those who appear faster, if you look at the start list, is going to continue happening. Kardaku 10.85, which is fantastic. It had been 11.02. Hadn't competed that much this year either, having been at the Balkan Indoor Championships, also internationally. But have a look here on the inside. You can also see that in the centre, the Armenian Gevorgian is going well. He would eventually get second place. But a nice, clean victory that from Leandro Kardaku, the Albanian. And yeah, obviously don't like to dwell too much on who isn't involved, but a bit of a shame not to have Luisa Gega. As a result, Albania will be looking to other places, and they will certainly need big hatfuls of points and to battle for spots in order to try and launch a promotion campaign, especially because Gega has also done other events like the 5,000 metres in the past. But if they can do such as Kardaku has done here, albeit it's only the first race and we've got a faster heat to come, then that will certainly be a huge help to them.
Cracking run from lane 3. And the first 3 inside 11 seconds. Excellent work. Great aerial view of the stadium. Confirmation of Kardaku's big PB, very impressive as well, into a marginal headwind. 10.85, Marsenic from Montenegro, and Grigorian over towards the far side, also inside 11 seconds. Quicker to come in the second of the men's 100 heats, but every single point counts. The Albanians will be over the moon. See him give himself a chance of finishing as high up as he can in the overall leaderboard across the 2 heats. Times emerged, remember.
Well, looks like we're going to see the women's discus next, and Alexandra Emiliano, one of the athletes that was in the press conference, which always at least means that there are big hopes on her shoulders. Of course, she was absolutely incredible at junior level, winning titles right across under 18, under 20 level in particular, and then had a couple of difficult years since those those titles. It was around 2015 to 2017, won pretty much everything there was to win at those age groups. She was a finalist at the European Championships in 2018, as we see. 59.84, the opening mark here. And, well, we've got another Icelandic athlete near the top of the leaderboard. They certainly are putting together a strong campaign to this point, but overtaken by some margin. 52.99 for second, 59.84 for first. As we go back to the track, the 100 meters, men and women, will be a strong event for San Marino, by the way, and they'll hope to push themselves up the leaderboard. We've got Francesco Sansovini, who'll go in lane 4, as you can see here, and Sansovini, along with Alessandra Gasparelli, two of their biggest stars at this competition. We'll have to wait and see how they do, but certainly has the fastest personal best, 10:41. He won the games of the small states of Europe, the 25-year-old. Looking here at Vikalo of Bosnia. Over to the Andorran, this is Dylan Ben Ahmed. You can see very close to his 10:82 lifetime best. And that's very similar to the winner Kardika of the first heat. But on to Sansovini, had a nice little cheer for him. I'm sure that's the Samarane's contingent, perhaps. Nagiev of Azerbaijan, the second fastest overall. Only one previous international appearance at the European Youth Olympic Festival in Baku 2019. Gunnarsson of Iceland and Alexovsky of North Macedonia. 10:90 he's improved to this year. And then Enguerrand Bossikar of Luxembourg, a personal best from 3 years ago of 10:87. So yes, you do get the sense that our Albanian friend Kardiku's time could feature somewhere within the middle of the overall result.